Hello everyone and welcome back guys to AOR Season 14, and today we're here for round 12 for the Belgian Grand Prix, and I'm really looking forward to this race. Spa is my favourite track on the Formula 1 calendar, and actually probably the one that I felt the most confident with coming in to this race. So really hoping we could have a good race out today. Actually didn't bother going with the face cam this week just because it felt a little bit simpler to do it this way around. But as always, I'm going to leave you on board with my fastest qualifying lap. Hopefully this one is a little bit more enjoyable than a lot of them have been this season. Overall, I'd say, apart from a couple of small mistakes, this was probably the best lap I've done all season long. So hopefully, as I said, you guys enjoy. Over the line then, and it is actually P4 at the end of qualifying there, so really happy with that. Actually my best qualifying session overall in the entire season, so yeah, really felt, you know, that was quite well deserved on the whole. 4/10 off pole there, LGS doing a brilliant lap of 1 minute 43.3 there. Felt, you know, we could have probably claimed another couple of tenths there. I think P2, P3 on the grid would have been all we were going to be able to muster moving on to this Belgian Grand Prix. But as I said, really love this track, especially on F1 2017. I just find it's got so much flow, so enjoyable to drive around. But here we are then on the grid, ready for the Belgian Grand Prix. I think we've got 7 different cars from 7 different teams in the top 7 on the grid, ready for this race. But it's 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights for the Belgian Grand Prix. It is going to be a dry race throughout, and it is 5 lights, and away we go. Opting to not get off to a particularly brilliant start there, trying to use the lean revs, and down in towards someone. Herschel is going to dive it down the inside of both myself and Gorsh there. Luckily got back out of that, so there was certainly no room on the outside for me there, and now coming down in towards Eau Rouge, one of the scariest corners to go around on lap 1 of a Grand Prix. They're too wide just at the front of the field. There's Sam and LGS there. Gorsh not getting a particularly good run. We just focus on trying to make sure we get the good apex there, and down to the top of the Kemmel straight here. We're going 3-4 wide there. I'm basically just going to sit behind Herschel, push him down this back straight here. He's going to pull to the inside brake a little bit later than myself. Gorsh just completely misses his braking point, goes way off the circuit, nearly collects me as he comes back onto the track at quite a weird angle. But now we move up into P3 of the Grand Prix there. So overall, off that start, we have made a couple of positions here now all over the back of VRT Herschel here, who seems to be lagging around just a tiny bit here. He has got the connection bar, which is really not too nice to be following, you know, in what is probably my best shot of a race victory, you know, a fair race victory, unlike Spain, obviously, where I got very lucky with everyone at the front seemed to have a few issues here and there. But yeah, this was the one track on the entire calendar I really wanted to win. Not really a big fan of Spain, wanted to sort of win a track that I actually enjoy at some point during this season. But now all over the back of Herschel here as we come down in through the final sector. Potentially might be able to have a look up the inside in towards the bus stop chicane here. We get a good run at Stavelo here, up in towards Blanchemont though. We're almost getting closer and closer to Herschel. I think he's running ever so slightly less wing than me. But we've just got that, obviously, in the slipstream there. We pull to the outside, down in towards the bus stop chicane here, braking that tiny bit earlier there, hoping Herschel runs a little bit deep, which he does do. We're going to try and go for the switchback move, though, but unfortunately, just get on the power that a little bit too early. Not going to be able to capitalise on that run there, and unfortunately, that's going to leave me a little bit further back from Herschel than I would have liked. But skipping, you know, sort of half a lap later, Herschel actually closing up the gap to Sam F1 LFC here, obviously the absolute championship dominator at this point here. But down in towards Pouon, though, he's going to make a huge mistake there. Take far too much curb on the way in there. Run massively wide, ruin his run all the way through. We're going to switch to the inside there. Now up into P2 of this Grand Prix we go here. He tries to think about going for the switchback move. We sort of just park it in the middle of the road there. Not really going to give him any sort of place to try and make up a position back on myself here. Next up, you know, the hunt down for Sam. But unfortunately, by lap 6 of the race, the gap pretty much stayed the same to Sam ahead of me here. But it was P1R Brown who won last time out Grand Prix that was really closing in the gap. He opted to qualify on a set of the super soft tyres, and it was this point now he was really starting to reap the benefits of it there. We're not even going to try and hold him up. He was about a second a lap quicker up to this point, so not really going to try and do anything to defend from him. Sam dives into the pit lane there, so that's a little bit more reassuring for myself. And now the aim was to follow Brown over this next lap here and just try to, you know, keep up the pace, use the slipstream and the DRS to my advantage down through Sector 1 here, and just hope that we could try and keep up with him here and potentially, you know, get a little bit closer to Sam. But one lap later, unfortunately, you can see Brown actually dives it into the pit lane as well as myself there. So really not utilising that set of super soft tyres as much as I, you know, personally I would have done so if I'd opted to go on that set. You can see TRL Ellis, unfortunately, retiring from the Grand Prix there. He had a spectacular puncture through Blanchimont on that lap. Just completely lost it, flinged it into the wall, ripped off 2 wheels quite impressively there. But getting off to a nice clean pit stop there. Brown still, as you can see, just a couple of seconds up the road here. And now coming down to exit the pit lane here. We should be good for P5 at this moment in time. Brown just ahead of me there with Sam F1 just ahead of him. So we could really have a nice tight scrap in these final few laps of this Belgian Grand Prix. You know, hopefully if those two fight each other a little bit, then we could really try and close up on the pair of them here. But now a couple of laps later, all over the back of XRL Bobbits here as we come down in towards the final sector of the lap here. And he's all over the shop at the moment. He hasn't made his first pit stop of this Grand Prix as of yet, so really hoping, you know, we can try and get past him nice and quickly. Hopefully he doesn't hold me up too much into the final sector, though. Just all over the back of him at this moment in time. And unfortunately on the exit, Stavlo there completely hits the wall, completely takes me out there, and that's basically, you know, my race entirely over. The front wing gone entirely. Let's watch that once again on the slow motion there. You can see he runs wide, dinks the wall, absolutely nowhere for me to go. Completely lose my front wing there. Somehow he gets barely any front wing damage from that as well. Literally just dinks the end plate there. LGS does a very good job to avoid that as well, but unfortunately that obviously meant onto a new front wing there, onto a second unwanted pit stop in the Grand Prix at exactly the worst time. And although we set fastest lap once more in that race, Bobbits did actually take that away from me as well. So everything that I had in that Grand Prix, Bobbits decided to strip from me there. But Malta, AOR Midget even, dives into the pits on the end of lap 14. They're unable to do the one stop in this Grand Prix. And unfortunately, that was the last thing that really happened until the final lap of the Grand Prix. Poor LGS there, running up, I think, in the P3, P4 at that point in the Grand Prix, has unfortunately dropped it down in towards Stavlo there. Must be so gut for him, dropping a big 15 points in the driver's standings there. That'll mean all the guys behind him, including myself, will close up massively overall in the points there. And you can see he's completely dropped there, ripped that Ferrari to pieces there. P1R Brown, though, does come through to win the Grand Prix, which is so frustrating, as we've been, you know, all over the back of him at that point in the Grand Prix. So what it could have been on the whole, definitely a podium, potentially the win, you know, if it had gone my way right at the very end. But down in towards the final couple of corners of this Grand Prix, considering all that went on, you know, P6 overall probably tells a bit of a better story than it should have been there. Quite a few retirements in that Grand Prix as well, which basically meant, you know, that I was able to score points, and still 8 points on the board after that Grand Prix. But out of the final corner, that is the end of the Belgian Grand Prix. Really gutted there. You know, not often this season have I felt, you know, I deserved more in Grand Prix. Usually I've been pretty happy with the results, but that race tonight really, you know, it was probably my best shot at a, you know, a race victory solely based on pace. But unfortunately it was not meant to be. Italy next week, though, one of my other favourite tracks on the Formula 1 calendar. So hopefully, you know, we can have a nice, good result there. But hopefully, you know, you guys have enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, subscribe if you're new around here as well and you want to see more of my F1 2017 AOR for F2 highlights from Season 14. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time for the Italian Grand Prix.